Guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to talk you through the reasons why I will never build a home gym. Now, I have to be honest, I've changed my opinion on this because go back a few years during the old pandemic, it was pretty damn tempting, as I'm sure you guys found it as well. You're here to know why I would never build a home gym, and hopefully I can persuade you from not building one if you are considering it. And if you've already got one, well, I don't know, there's not much I can do. But yeah, listen, I get it. I do understand the logic of it. And like I said, in a previous life, during the pandemic, a home gym would have been very, very handy. But let's be optimistic and let's assume that we're never gonna have any kind of lockdowns like that again in the future, because they never worked anyway. So I think they became popular around COVID, and people thought, oh, I'll use it more because it's closer to me, right? But honestly, I think the vast majority of people now are using home gyms as an elaborate excuse to put off going to the actual gym. It's almost like going to the actual gym is too uncomfortable for them, and they would rather spend thousands of pounds to build something that may be, I'm guessing, in either in a spare bedroom or in their garage, right? And on the sort of logical side of it, sometimes you can make sense of it, right? We all spend a lot of time sort of validating the reasons for the behaviors and the actions that we do, right? But being honest, if you really stack up the pros and the cons, and that's what I'm going to do in this video, I think you'll realize that the cons outweigh the pros, or certainly do in my opinion. Now, of course, as always, there are exceptions to the rule, and I'm sure you could tell me 10 reasons why you don't apply, and all these things, and you're special, blah, 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 blah. I get that. Also, don't really care. But so let's get into it. Okay, cool. So I think the main thing for me is, right, a lot of people have got, let's say, for example, an exercise bike, and it sits maybe in their living room or their dining room, maybe even their garage. But when they first get it and they've spent maybe, I don't know, 1,000, how much is a Peloton now? £1,000, probably £2,000, God knows. Too much money, basically. But they've spent a lot of money on this thing. They're like, oh, I'm gonna do it. And then they sit there on their own, doing their little Peloton for 3-4 days in a row. And then they miss one day, but they think, oh, well, it's fine, I'll go back to it tomorrow. And they go back to it tomorrow, but then they miss 2 days. And then slowly but surely, after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it basically becomes a very, very expensive clothes rack. And that's kind of the same way I look at a home gym, because I understand the logic of it being close to you and you thinking like, oh, well, if I spend the money on it, I will use it. And you think you're removing the barriers. But psychologically, it tends to not be that way. And also, I don't think you get the most benefit from it that way either. So let's look at the very obvious cons, okay? First and foremost, the cost of the equipment. If you are just starting out thinking about potentially building your own home gym and you haven't done any research into it, you're in for a shock. If you've already done a little bit of research, then this won't surprise you, but gym equipment is hella expensive. It's very complicated machinery, for lack of a better word, and it uses a lot of material, and it's very heavy. So you're basically paying for the raw materials, and then you're paying for an engineer to design it and to put it together for you. And of course, then there's the delivery aspect of it, and then there's the servicing of it, the maintenance of it, and all of these things. So the cost of equipment, like a pretty good home gym, and you can go on other channels and see people have often shown home gym tours, and then they've told you the cost of it all, and they're running 20 to 50 grand, right? And I'll be really honest with you, if you've got 20 to 50 grand to spend, then you could build a pretty saucy home gym that I would be like, you know what, that actually does sound pretty tempting. If you're not willing to spend more than 10K, you're not gonna be able to build a home gym. Just don't even bother. Then there's the next obvious one is the space, right? Now, unless, maybe there's a slight difference between the UK and the US here, but in the UK, houses are pretty small. Most people don't have big houses. Most people don't have a lot of space. I know that's slightly different in some parts of the US, and that's great, so that might not be as much of a limiting factor for you. But particularly in the UK, which is where the majority of my audience are, if you're gonna build a home gym, you're gonna have to sacrifice quite a lot of space in your house, right? And that space could be used for something else. So that's another big sort of thing to think about. You're either taking away your garage, you're taking away your spare bedroom, or you're taking away like a dining room or something like that, right? But it takes up a lot of space if you want a decent home gym. By the way, I should have given some context at the beginning of this. I'm talking about people who are looking to build a home gym to actually get some kind of result. And I think everybody who goes to the gym should be looking to get some kind of result, because if you don't find progress in anything, in any area of life, it doesn't become fun and you don't stick to it and you give up with it. And this is kind of like goes back to the original point around like people who aren't following a program and stuff like that, right? So what have we covered? We've covered cost of equipment, we've covered space, and then there's the time aspect as well, right? If you were to start right now, straight after this video, let's say you just completely disagree with me, you were like, screw this guy, I want a home gym now. Maybe I've driven you further down the rabbit hole. And you went and started doing research and stuff. Most of this stuff you have to order, and it takes, like, there's a lead time to it, because a lot of it's like custom made for you. So you're probably looking at like a 6 to 12 week lead time. Then there's the delivery. Plus as well, there's the amount of time that you're gonna have to spend saving up to be able to afford all of this equipment. So there's a lot of time, and what are you gonna do in that time? Are you just gonna like put it off? Like, that's mental. You could just literally, right now, straight after this video, walk or get in the car and go to the local gym. And within like 10, 20 minutes, most people would probably within 10 to 20 minutes of a gym, you could be training for like 20 to 50 pounds, or maybe even 100 pounds, it doesn't really matter, per month. With all the equipment, none of the space, none of the time, nothing. So straight away, those are the three big ones: the cost of the equipment, the space, and the time. The one that you probably won't think of, and that I think is gonna be the one that potentially can sway some people away from this, is the fact that when you've got a home gym, you're gonna be training by yourself. And when you're training by yourself, it's very easy to cheat, to give up, and just be like, well, there's literally no one watching, so I'll just shirk that set, screw that one off, I'll stop short on that set, I'll leave that rep out, I won't go as heavy today, blah, 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 blah. Also, there's a lot to be said around the value of training around other men. So, the training with the other men, there's a lot to be said around training with other men, because if you're just training by yourself, you are not going to make as much progress. A big benefit to this stuff is the ability to actually, or the chance, I suppose, to meet other people and to learn from them. But I believe, genuinely, probably the biggest thing, because we don't just go to the gym for our physical health, we go to the gym for our mental health. And more often than not, if I think about all my gym sessions and all the benefits that I've had from it, aside from the obvious physical ones, the biggest one for me is the ability to change my environment and how important that has been. To be able to go somewhere different, to do something very specific and just get out of whatever headspace you are in. Because we've all had those days where we're just so hyper-focused and hyper-fixated on something, and it feels like we're stuck and we feel very out of control, and then we go somewhere else, we do something else, we come back to it, and we're able to see it with so much more clarity and get it done a lot quicker than we thought we were able to. And if you've just got a home gym and you're literally going from your living room to your garage, I just don't think it's going to have the same sort of desired outcome and effect, really. And the last thing you need to think about is what happens when this equipment inevitably breaks or needs servicing. And what do you do there? It's like if you buy an expensive car, right? If you go and buy a Ferrari, let's say, right? That might cost you, I know nothing about cars. Let's say a Ferrari costs you, like 100 grand. It's probably cost you more, I don't know. Let's say a Ferrari costs you £100,000. It's not just the £100,000, is it? Because I would imagine one wheel of a Ferrari is probably like £5,000. So imagine you need to change 4 tires. Like, that's 20 grand. Plus, like, you've got the servicing and all this stuff. This equipment is expensive, guys. Like, if you're getting good stuff, if you're just cutting corners and you just want to get like a little crappy treadmill in the corner and a little cable pulley over here, that's fine, that's nice, that's very cute. You're not going to make any progress. Like, it's a nice little start point, but all you're doing, and I know why you're doing it, you're just avoiding the fact that you've got to go to the gym because maybe you've got some confidence issues to go into the gym. It's a very high price to pay to just be able to just walk into the gym and accept the fact that everybody has to start at some point. So I really wouldn't do that. And the last point I was going to make about this as well is, what happens when you move house? Like, moving house is already stressful and hard enough. If you add in the fact, if you imagine you're showing like these movers around and be like, oh yeah, so I've got this stuff in this room, this stuff in this room. Oh yeah, I should probably show you my garage. And you walk in and there's like £30,000 worth of equipment, which you then have to insure. But not only that, these people have to move. Like, do you understand the cost, the labor, the effort that is going to go into that? So if you're going to go all in on a home gym, you better be damn sure that you like your house and you like your neighborhood and you want to stay there for a very, very long time. So listen, guys, look, I do understand the logic for some people around buying/building a home gym. But in all honesty, 99.9% of people are better off just getting over themselves and getting up and going to the gym. I've got clients who have started working with me, started off in a home gym, and then they've gone to the gym and their progress in the home gym was like kind of here. They start going to the gym and it just goes on a vertical line like that because all of the things I've talked about, they've got access to more equipment, access to better equipment. They have to go somewhere different. They get to train around other guys. So it's more of a high testosterone environment. They've got the chance to meet people. They get the chance to see other people and how they're doing things. They learn, even if they're not talking to people, they still learn things. I just think in my head, the benefits of going to the gym versus training in your own home gym far outweigh the costs, both from a space point of view, from a time point of view in terms of building it, and a cost of equipment point of view. So just my 2 cents on the whole thing. If you're thinking about building a home gym, I think you're far better off going 10 minutes down the road and paying you £50 a month or whatever it might be. But it's completely up to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon.